Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is spinning on the ones and twos. Fam, I got something right in the messages, right off the bat, when it came to the Rokfin. Kamshwari Kate says, check it out. I'm watching the Convo Couch using the Rokfin app on my Android.
Nice.
Was that good, a little?
I don't know what that was, fam. But
Android. Android. I don't know the fuck I said like that. Well, thank you for jumping on in. Thank you, Cam Shwari, Kate. Thank you, Anthony Scannell, James Evans. I'm going to say hi to some people on the YouTubes because I know that you guys think that we neglect you. We don't. It's just that YouTube has really shut us down and demonetized us, hurt us. They're really trying to get us to stop doing what we do, stop covering the Palestinian protest, stop talking about foreign policy, stop talking about elections. They really want us to go away, and we're not going away. So Anthony Reyes, ayu pasta. Anthony Reyes, get at me. Let's set you up. Let's do a one-on-one. Let's talk. Let's have some fun. Love you, kid. Karen M. Always keeping it down. Frederick Murphy, Cat 83. Super Patriot fam is here. We love you, Super Patriot. ICU and all the gang. Thank you so much for jumping on in. Remember, if you haven't signed up for Rokfin, it is for free. ROKFIN. If you got a few extra bucks, $9.99 a month, you can actually check out the Reverend Annie Chambers interview, Working Class Solidarity. We put up a little tweet kind of sharing it. I'll throw out another tweet today, little clips of it, but it is a juicy, awesome, great interview, fam. I have to use the word juicy because it was juicy and stuff. You know, your thoughts on the interview? Looking at it, watching it now.
So by the way, we'll release the interview for everybody on Tuesday.
Yes.
For everybody on YouTube, we're gonna do a release, and then it'll be on Rokfin regular. We just wanted to give our premium members some, just a little bit of time to look at it. But it was probably my favorite interview as well. I mean, it was just really
amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, it was more of like a conversation because Reverend Annie Chambers had so much to say and she went on her tangents, but it was awesome because it showed her personality. It showed who she is. She talked about a lot of personal things that happened to her that, you wouldn't think of. She told us to not stop talking to people we disagree with. She, and she understands what needs to happen now. She understands that, there's a lot of movements out there, a lot of campaigns that don't have poor people in them, leading them. There's a lot of, co-option going on. So it was really awesome hearing from somebody who has so much knowledge into the relationship between the Black Panthers and working class people, and also their connections to, Cuba and Fidel and her interaction with Fidel. I mean, for me, I would have been awesome. Like, I just love hearing about those stories,
Yeah. She talks about her hair and her legs, and she's like, I had to show my legs. I wasn't covering that up. She's just cool. She just got all Annie Rever Chambers on us, and she talks about food, how she feeds everybody and anybody. You know what I'm saying? Not just people in her community, from the neighboring communities. If they come over, take food, take it with you, go home. Let's feed the poor. She really has been walking the walk, and she was all part about starting the Poor People's Campaign. She ran around this whole country, going to the poorest parts. We have a little clip up on our Twitter. Check it out. It gives you the link. Obviously, if you are a premium member, please do us a favor. Go over and watch it as a premium member. We don't put up a lot of premium stuff. We want to get our stuff out there for free. We want everybody to see it. But we do have to get some monetary gains to keep it going. So it does help us out if you do watch it as a premium member. So if you are already a premium member, please go over there, hit the thumbs up, like it, leave a comment, let us know what you think, and we'll get to it again. Fam, we have a great show today. It's crazy. You said to me today, it's like, it's very easy to feel sad right now with everything going on, because this is freaking sad. And the fact that we're just doing it and not enough people are speaking up. Yes, we saw a great protest, a ton of people there. We talked to some of the people. People have to continue to get educated on the whole situation, how Israel started, all the things with the UN Security Councils, the history, they have to learn about it, Hamas, the whole 9 yards, the PLO. We all have to do that. But it is sad at the end of the day seeing all these rockets fly. And I tip my hat off to anybody out there who's speaking up, somebody who has a platform, somebody who's a actress, a politician, and even a professional athlete right now, because this is very hard. I explained to you guys, professional athletes don't really speak up on foreign policy and a lot of issues. Yes, the Colin Kaepernick thing took everybody by storm, but we didn't see a lot of people go outside of their comfort zone and talk about foreign policy. Well, we had a little something yesterday that I just think is amazing, because you're talking about somebody, fam, who has I think about 5 million Twitter followers. He's won a national. He's an NBA star. He's won the title before, the NBA championship with LeBron James. And a lot of people were kind of questioning when this gentleman, Kyrie Irving, split away from LeBron James. He didn't want to play with him anymore. He wanted to go do his own thing. You see LeBron James nowadays, who he's just playing the game, and then you see someone like Kyrie Irving, who just steps out and says this. Yesterday was the last day of the regular season for the NBA. The playoffs are starting, so there's going to be a lot of press, a lot of TV coverage. Look what Kyrie Irving said the other day. Look at his whole demeanor and what he's saying.
Working out the Kings' first game with together quite some time. How did it feel to be again so close to full strength as you get ready to wrap up the season?
Felt good, just to get out there, play the game that we love. But, for me personally, I'm not really, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. A lot of stuff is going on in this world, and basketball is just not the most important thing to me right now. There's a lot of stuff going on overseas. All my people are still in bondage all across the world, and there's a lot of dehumanization going on. So, I apologize if I'm not going to be focused on y'all questions. It's just too much going on in the world for me to just be talking about basketball. Like, I focus on this shit 24/7 most of the time, but it's just too much going on in this world not to address. It's sad to see this shit going on. And it's not just in Palestine. It's not just in Israel. It's all over the world, man, and I feel it. I'm very compassionate to all races, all cultures, and to see a lot of different people being discriminated upon or against, being discriminated against based on their religion, color of their skin, what they believe in. It's just sad. We all say we're human beings and we care and we're compassionate, but what are you doing to help? And being in this gym, I'm grateful for opportunity. It's a blessing, but my goal out here, my purpose is to help humanity, and I can't sit here and not address that. I don't care which way you stand on either side. If you're a human being, then you would support, the anti-war effort that's going on. There's a lot of people losing their lives, children, a lot of babies, and that's just what I'm focused on. So if you guys want to ask me questions about the game, I really don't care about it, but except just everybody leaving out of the game healthy and being able to go home to their families. So.
I don't know that challenge is the word, but what has it been like balancing, the social issues and things that are on your heart and on your mind with, the responsibility on the court? What has it been like balancing that?
I mean, it's a job. I was raised as a survivalist. My family comes from practically the bottom, from the South Bronx, making it out of some extreme conditions, didn't have a lot of resources, and I'm the product of a lot of sacrifice from my ancestors, a lot of people.
Fam, Kyrie Irving is sad too, and a lot of professional athletes don't go over that line. They understand that their boss who writes that check, who gives them that money, their sponsors who sponsor them, don't want them speaking of foreign policy, don't want them stepping out of line. That's why when I talked about, we have Justin Jackson right now, right? And, when me and Niko have talked about this, we always think about what was the greatest kind of like political athlete that really talked about these things. We talk about Muhammad Ali, who spoke out against the Vietnam War, refused to go to kill poor people in another country. We talk about Jackie Robinson, who actually, not only did he break the color barrier, but he voted for Nixon and said that people of color should come over into the Republican Party because they need a voice over there. But this right here to me was huge for Kyrie to do this. He's got 4.3 million followers. People are going to go. Young kids are going to go and go, Daddy, what's going on in Israel and Palestine? It's going to happen because when you mix politics and you get athletes or you get actresses or performers right now talking about that, it really gets people's attention away from what they're doing into what they're speaking about. I just would like to know your initial thought. I know for me that, being a sports guy, I think this is huge because I really think this is opening up a door. Yeah. But I just want to know your thoughts right now on this, guys.
I'm not a sports person, obviously, but at the same time, I think it is significant that he did say what he did say because he is clearly not happy. And when you go to these press junkets, they ask you the dumbest fucking questions. Yeah. Whether you're an athlete, an actress, a model, whatever the fuck you are, they ask you the dumbest questions. It is a vapid world with a lot of vapid discussions. And to focus on these things when people are getting killed, I mean, it's like a human thing, right? It's like it was very genuine for him to say that. And like I haven't seen anybody else that's an athlete besides obviously Justin Jackson talk about this. Like, and by the way, he's not the only one. Yesterday I found out Bella Hadid was at the Brooklyn protest. Bella Hadid is a supermodel. She was a Victoria's Secret model, and she is half Palestinian. And she went and she posted something about how Israel isn't a country, and she took it down. Like, she just had all this hate and stuff. Like, people are calling misinformation to say that Israel isn't a real country. You know, it's an occupation, even though that's the truth. And there's like all these people that are trying to speak out, but they get like blasted. Because I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but the vast majority of Hollywood and the vast majority of like the production and all of the media is controlled by Jewish people. That is a fact. That is something that, you know, that everybody in the industry knows. And unfortunately, anything you say in regard to, oh, Israel is an occupation, Israel is killing people, it's going to be used against you as a celebrity. But I'm at the point where fuck that, guys. Like, you have enough money, you have enough influence. Don't let it get to you. Speak out. We need people like that. She has 44-point-something million followers. That is more than the population of Israel.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Like, this, for people who have that sort of bandwidth, who have that sort of influence to speak out, it is extremely important. And I think, you know, this is one issue where, yes, it's Palestinians being killed, but the bigger issue is U.S. imperialism. And that's something that the next step that people need to understand is, like, we do this all over the fucking world to everybody. We've been doing it to Syria. We've been doing this to people in the global south. This is what we do. And I think people are starting to come to terms with, how can you go on living this whole, like, lie when all this shit is happening, and you're supposed to, like, you know, you say all these things like, oh, we care, like, and blah, 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 and we're all human beings. But to really actually feel it is a whole other thing.
Yeah. Johnny, your thoughts on Kyrie? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope. Yeah, I just hope to see more athletes do it. You know, it's like the person who controls you can't talk about, right? So, I want to see who's brave enough to really come out and really say some shit when you're in a position of power like that. You know, that's what we were hoping Bernie would do with the elections. That's what we were hoping. You know, other I haven't seen Tulsi say anything. You know, other celebrities and you know, it's like, who are you living the life like that you really want to live? Like, if you're not allowed to speak on whatever you want to speak about, right? Yeah. So that's
whatever you should be speaking about, right?
Exactly.
Like,
in regard to Tulsi Gabbard, I was told that she is on duty somewhere, so she hasn't had access to anything, or she can't.
She did tweet something one day ago. She just said, "Good job" on something.
But either way, if you're not speaking out against this, I think it just says a lot. Like, right? If people are going to assume that where you stand. Silence is complicity at this point. I mean, this is bigger than just focusing on Palestinians. Like, obviously the focus is on poor Palestinian people who have been just destroyed. But again, it's like, this is going to keep happening as long as we allow Israel to have all the funds, as long as we allow, like, Americans allow their own country to do this. Like, this is our doing, and we're going to talk about exactly how we are directly connected to this.
Now, I want to make the distinction between the two. Kyrie Irving is a superstar. He was the first pick in the NBA draft, meaning he was the first college pick that 1 year after LeBron James left. He won an NBA championship. He, you know, was very close with Kobe too. Kobe, like, you know, mentored him in some ways when it came to the basketball court. So this guy's reach is way out there. Justin Jackson's in a different position, right? Okay, he's like a mid-round draft pick. I think he was drafted in the 4th or 5th round. He was a good running back, definitely, you know, out of Northwestern. This is his year right now, Justin Jackson. He's got the coach he needs, which is going to give him the offense that's going to go in there. He'll have a chance to start or fight for the starting position, and he could blow up. Right now, he's not a big no-name superstar out there, Justin Jackson. Mm-hmm. But what he's putting out there politically, if he blows up, people are going to go back and going to look at his stuff. They're going to see his stuff. Believe you me, fams, They do not, the NFL owners do not want Justin Jackson to succeed. The more popular he becomes, the more his messages will get out there. Now, this is him, and I know some people are like, well, he just had Aaron Matei on his show. But Aaron Matei talked about all this stuff of what's going on, and then Justin Jackson agrees with it, and then even further stamps more validity on it. Take a look.
Before speaking, Israel's launched a new wave of bombing, indiscriminately attacking homes. They've already leveled entire residential towers in the last few days, and that is continuing now. No pretense even to be targeting militant targets. Gaza is one of the most densely, if not the most densely populated areas in the world. It's basically an open air prison, and they're just bombing civilian homes at will. I think the latest death toll that I read is 28 children since these Israeli attacks began. And what that headline is missing is that it's missing many things, but the key thing that it's missing is that Israel explicitly rejected an offer of a ceasefire from Hamas. Hamas offered a ceasefire yesterday, but that was rejected. It was rejected because Israel has no interest in peace, no interest in defending its civilians from rocket fire. It's an occupier. It's a bloodthirsty, insane, Jewish supremacist occupier. These are things that are easier for me to say because I'm Jewish myself, but that doesn't make them any less true. It's just it's an insane state that's gone crazy, and it's completely armed and enabled by the U.S., whether it's a Republican like Trump or a Democrat like Biden in power. In the case of Biden, they've given this a complete green light. We saw, if you saw that clip at the State Department where the State Department spokesperson Ned Price was asked if Palestinians have the right to defend themselves, wouldn't give an answer. Joe Biden, when he emerged from his cave yesterday, he spoke. He said, "I hope this wraps up sooner rather than later." That's a green light to murder babies. That's what that was. And at the United Nations, you had every single member of the Security Council willing to support a pretty bland resolution calling for a ceasefire, for an end to violence, except for one, the Biden administration, the U.S., which blocked that. So that shows which side we're on, how much we care about the so-called rules-based international order, how much we care about human rights. It's all a joke, and it's resulting right now in another massacre of the people of Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, 100% true, 100% on the money, and it's wild to me because I've tweeted stuff out, I put stuff on my Instagram, and I have people coming into my DM saying, well, you don't understand the full breadth of the situation on the ground. They're not showing you all that is actually happening, and I'm like, so are you sitting here telling me that 80 Palestinians aren't dead? That 28 Palestinian children aren't dead? Are you telling me not to believe, don't believe your lying eyes type thing? Have you seen that same type of reaction? And is this kind of like a tried and true reaction from people that want to defend Israel at all costs?
Peeling back, fam, asking questions, talking about the things that are you telling me what I'm seeing is not true? But
that's what they do, though. That's literally, and then whether you're an athlete or in the entertainment industry, that's the narrative right now. Oh, you don't understand what's going on. You have to see that both sides are engaged in this, because this is what I've been told for decades. This is the narrative, and they're spinning it again, even though now more than ever people have cell phones, people have cameras everywhere, the internet is at an all-time high, and people are using TikToks and all this stuff to show what's actually happening. You can't fucking lie. The narrative that Israel was used to spinning is no longer sticking as well as it should be, and it shows in athletes like Justin Jackson and athletes like Kyrie, all these people in entertainment that are saying things. It's you can't hide it. If they're seeing it, that means your narrative, you've lost control of that narrative.
Yeah, I love the fact that Aaron Matei laid out everything, the constant bombing of civilians, a ceasefire from Hamas, which has been ignored. We get all this stuff. The Biden administration greenlighting, bombing, blocking in a ceasefire. Justin not only agreed to it, he also built upon that and said, well, he gave pushback to those people out there who were saying, well, you're just seeing one side. We saw a picture of people in the mosque with stones, and they're like, that's your reason for justifying what the Israelis are doing? No,
Straight
sorry.
Up lies, too.
And you can look at Justin's Twitter. He's got some other good stuff out there. He's got stuff out there from the Gravel Institution, which shows pretty much like the evictions, whatnot. Have you seen this video? This one's really, really, it's a short one, fam, but you should really check this out. I don't know if you've seen this one. I saw it for the first time. This is really horrifying.
We take house after house. All this area will be a Jewish neighborhood. We are not finished the job. We are going to the next neighborhood, and after that we will go more. Our dream that all East Jerusalem will be like West Jerusalem, Jewish capital of Israel. אני רואה בזה המשך של המפעל היהודי-ציוני, המשך שיבת ציון, זה הכל. זה בא על חשבון הערבים? כן, גם בג"ץ והכנסת בנויים על חשבון ערבים, וגם המדינה כאן הוקמה, כן, על חשבון חלק מהתושבים הערבים שגרו פה. וזהו. We take out...
I mean, disgusting. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid to put it out there. He's not afraid to retweet it. Also, he put out another one when, people saying, well, that's bullshit. It's the crowds that are acting violent and the police are responding. Justin's even going, no, look what's happening at home. It's happening in Israel. This is where they get it from. Those have rubber bullets in them, right? Or they just sound grenades.
Real. Those are actual fire. Those are actual weapons.
Yeah, I think those. We don't know for sure, but I think those are the ones that have the rubber bullets in them. I'm not sure.
Well, it's no surprise because it's the same training.
Yeah. I just put something up that
Really
what
is.
does this mean that Justin Jackson is doing this stuff? Professional sports can often represent the circus of distractions to what's going on in social issues, politics, and the behavior of representatives in local and national government. We talk about this all the time, fam. You speak to somebody, they'll know where their offensive lineman, what school he went to, where their wide receiver, what his favorite ice cream is, but then you ask them what's your representative, and they don't know. It's part of the circuses, the bread in circuses we talk about. Professional sports can be looked at as part of the circuses. It distracts people. People know so much about professional sports, and they don't know shit about their local politics, what's going on. That is an issue. I said, however, if these athletes use their platforms to bring awareness to social issues and foreign policies, a lot of people who are unaware of what's going on will now be paying attention to those issues and our representatives. Make no mistake about it. The NBA owners don't want Kyrie running his mouth about Israel, and the NFL doesn't want Justin Jackson to succeed. Fam, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to draft Justin Jackson from my fantasy football team. And I suggest people go out there, make a statement. If you're involved, draft Justin Jackson because we want this guy to succeed. The more popular this guy becomes, the more his message gets out there. And I have never, ever seen an athlete go as deep and as nuanced as Justin Jackson has. And I love and respect to Muhammad Ali, what he did. Love and respect to Jackie Robinson, what he did. Love and respect to Charles Barkley, who's been pointing out a lot of stuff. But Justin Jackson goes where no athlete goes. He goes into local politics. He's not afraid to say this stuff. And let's look at the king. What does the king, who everybody goes, oh, LeBron James, the philanthropist, whatnot. What's on his Twitter feed? Do we have anything about Israel in there, Johnny? No, this should be something about Israel. No, a Mountain Dew commercial. He's telling people to drink Mountain Dew. No. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. We got that. Wait, there's got to be something about Israel. No. Anything? Something? Come on. Oh, no. Another commercial about what he would be if he wasn't LeBron James. All right. Okay. You can see that. You know what I'm saying? And this guy, he's got, how many millions of followers does he have, Johnny? 49 million followers, almost 50 million followers. And I want to talk about, I want to relive the experience that LeBron James out there, who always says he's fighting for justice and whatnot. LeBron James signed a lifetime deal with Nike, the largest single athlete deal in the company's 44-year history, according to ESPN's Dan Rovell. James also has a title that neither a legend like Michael Jordan nor contemporary like Kevin Durant can rival. He is the first player to ever receive a lifetime deal from Nike. James, 30, signed a 7-year deal, $90 million contract to Nike before he was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, fam, before he even signed his first contract, they gave him $90 million. In 2010, James re-signed with Nike and reportedly earned as much as $30 million annually. Every year he's getting that cheese. Well, in the Inquisitor, they even wrote, LeBron James is selling a tennis shoe with equality written on the back of it, which is made by slave laborers overseas. The irony of the decision is mind-blowing. There are effective slave laborers sitting there making equality sneakers so that LeBron James in America can pat his chest, and all the social justice warriors out there can say, my God, look how brave LeBron James is. He's in favor of equality. The reality is the LeBron James equality shoes are made in a fundamentally unequal way, and the money made from LeBron James equality shoes will be distributed in a fundamentally unequal way. Fam, we've learned about this story before. Yep. He's known about this. Jim Keedy taught us years ago. Fighting Jim Keedy. This is why I stopped buying Nike. I told my mother, don't send me anything with Nike when she gets me some gifts or whatever. Please, just stay away from Nike. Now, to be honest with you, fam, all the other companies are doing it still. But the fact that this message and this story hasn't gained any ground and people are still exploiting slave labor overseas to make millions is disgusting. Let's look at Jim Keedy. This is a little quick clip of his story behind the swoosh of when he went to Indonesia to try to live on the same salary that those workers live on.
Capital Jakarta with the plans that for the next month we were going to live as Nike's factory workers lived, which meant that we were going to go live in a workers' slum outside of the capital, and we were going to live on the workers' wages, $1.25 a day for the next month, to try and come maybe to a better understanding of what it's like for Nike factory workers to make this kind of money and live under these conditions. We lived in a 9x9 cement box. It was over 100 degrees, it's 100% humidity, a small window, certainly no air conditioning.
No furniture. You slept on a very thin mat on an uneven cement floor covered in shelf paper.
The streets outside of your home are lined by open sewers, and what that means, like in the rainy season, you would have all that feces just float up into the streets and into your house.
And every time that you go to the bathroom, it comes back out into the sewer for everybody else to see and smell.
You would have football-sized rats that would stampede over the ceiling at night and come up through the toilet and look for stuff to eat in the house, or the fist-sized cockroaches that would crawl over you at night.
Siapa nama Anda? Saya. Daya. Nama Jim. Nama Jim, yeah.
Just like anyone around the world, you can't just drop into someone's life and be like, hi, we're here. We want to live in your life and tell us how much it sucks. You had to build bonds of trust.
Jim? Siri? Yenny? Nice to meet you. Hello.
They treated us very politely, and it wasn't until they saw that we were committed in the capacity of living on the wages that they're forced to live on, in the conditions that they are living in, that they felt that they could start to begin to trust us. You get to know them, and you hold their children, and you eat with them, and you share stories with them. They become part of your family.
We would go to different workers' homes. You got like 4 women sleeping in an 8x8 cement box, and all their possessions are in there. Like everything in this small area.
The workers would have to share a bathroom with 5 to 10 other families. The workers would have to share living quarters, actually like a row of shacks with corrugated tin roofs. All of those families would share a laundry corner and a kitchen facility and they would all share the same well to take the water out of.
$1.25 a day after you've paid for your rent, water, electricity, any major transportation costs, you're going to be left on average with roughly 7,000 rupiah per day. What the hell does that mean? That's going to buy you 2 simple meals of rice and vegetables, a bag of peanuts, a bottle of iced tea, and some dish detergent. And that's all you can get. And that's your reward?
Without a doubt. We found it out in the first week that we were there. There's no way that you can live on $1.25 a day and maintain your human dignity. It's just not possible.
Yeah. That was exactly it. And, you know, that wasn't even going into the conditions in the factory, fam. It was disgusting. When Justin Jackson came on the show, and I said to Justin, why don't like some athletes get together, start their own brand, and open up a factory in Flint? That wasn't my idea. That's something I saw from Michael Moore years ago, when Michael Moore had the idea, and he tried to get the CEO of Nike to go over to Indonesia with him, take a look at the factories. The guy had never been there. He refused to go there. He also acknowledged that it was a regime change country, once again, so they were being friendly to the corporate state using slave labor, whatnot, and stuff. But let's just take a look, and I want you to watch this, fam, because you'll see what the CEO says after. And I think this is something that can be done. I'm hoping that Kyrie Irving could maybe get with Colin Kaepernick, maybe get with Justin Jackson, start your own sneaker brand, make it in the USA. We're getting ready to open up our shop, right? And what are we thinking about? Where are the shirts made?
Yeah.
We're very conscious of it, and we have no money. Why can't these athletes who get paid millions of dollars per year start something and say, okay, I'm going to have to take a little left, but I'm going to really give back to the community?
It's really hard. It's more expensive to have union-made stuff or to
Way
have
more expensive.
American-made stuff. It's ridiculous, and like it's just disgusting how we exploit other. It's just disgusting to me.
So this is when Michael Moore had the idea. Let's go back to Flint, and I think we should open up this idea and go into this here, and maybe get a shoe factory in Flint. Take a look.
Michael Moore is urging the world's largest athletic shoe company to open a factory in Flint.
Michael Moore chastised the chairman of Nike, Philip Knight, criticizing the company for making most of its shoes in Indonesia.
So Moore has come home to convince Knight. He's staging an event tomorrow in front of City Hall.
So tomorrow at noon, I want to prove him wrong. I want the people of Flint who would like to work, who would like to have a job at Nike, to come here and stand in front of City Hall. I'll have my film crew here, dress warm, and we'll make a video message to him and show him that the people of Flint, if they had an opportunity to work, would certainly work.
We need jobs! 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 Flint needs jobs! Flint needs jobs! Flint needs jobs! Flint needs jobs!
It's Nike. I'm 37 years old. For 25 years, I've been wearing Nike. If Nike means that much to me, Flint should mean that much to you.
We don't make them here, we shouldn't buy them.
There's a lot of people in Flint and all over Michigan that need jobs, but especially in Flint. And I'm one of those people.
If I can buy my son these Air Jordans and he can wear them, you best believe I will help you make them. Come to Flint.
We're hard workers in this area. We've been working a long time. 5 generations, 4 generations of hard workers putting cars together. We can put together your tennis shoe.
Please give us a chance. Thank you.
Very impressive.
So what do you think?
I think that a lot of people that don't have jobs will take any job, but that given choice, that Americans really don't want to work in shoe factories. I still believe that.
No, but I've just
No, they said they did. And I think any unemployed person will say that I would like any job. I mean, basically, you know, Flint isn't on our radar screen right now as far as a warehouse or a sales office.
Would you do it as a personal favor to me?
Wow.
Dude, you should have seen the other clip, fam, when he asked him, "Have you ever go to Indonesia?" He's like, "I never been there," and stuff. He goes, "Well, you're a billionaire. Can't you just be a half a billionaire?" That's what it is. You can't be a billionaire. You got to be a half a billionaire. But you're going to bring jobs home. You saw those people. They're desperate to work.
It's a double-sided just death cult, because you take jobs away from Americans, right? And so you could pay people slave wages in Myanmar or in Indonesia and any of these other
Vietnam
fucking
now,
countries.
yeah.
Like, you're screwing both people, like, out of decent jobs. Like, I just, this is why I'm not a capitalist. This is exactly why.
Fam, if they don't have those jobs, they would have nothing. They should be thankful to have those jobs. Yeah, after you supported the regime change, that's putting people under the worst conditions whatsoever, and therefore that the only way they can make money is because they're taking the IMF in and all these banks in, and they have to produce our products through slave labor. Closing statements on this, guys.
Billionaires shouldn't exist. Like, I mean, this is what happens. How you become a billionaire is you become that guy. You exploit the resources in another country. You exploit the labor.
Yeah.
You turn them into basically slaves, because that's what they are. They're basically wage slaves. And then you also screw the American people here. And then you make the people here hate immigrants, thinking that the immigrants are taking their jobs when it's the fucking billionaire taking their jobs.
Yeah.
Eat the rich. It's time, guys. It's time.
Terrible.
You can't reform that, because that guy's not going to change his mind. That guy's not going to let go of his money. You cannot reform this shit.
And I am buying a Kyrie hat. I think he's got these hats. I'm going to buy a Kyrie Irving hat. Big ups to you, Kyrie, for speaking out there. We've been talking about people who have said nothing. Fam's been looking through a lot of people's Twitters looking for something, just a ray of light, a glimpse of hope, something to say, come on, speak about this right now, because a lot of people in the mainstream media, a lot of people who aren't following this stuff still don't know what's going on.
Or they're telling the wrong shit. They're both citing the issue.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I'm going to be drafting Justin Jackson. I think a lot of people should in your fantasy football leagues. Fantasy football is huge. Guys, do it. Let's support. Let's hope. Let's stand behind Justin Jackson. If Justin Jackson has a great breakthrough year, he's going to have more eyes on him. That means more eyes on Israel-Palestine, more eyes on the inequalities that are happening at home, more eyes on our elected officials who are lying to us, more eyes where we need it. So let's root for Justin Jackson. Johnny, anything else on that? All right, I'm going to read some quick super rays. Thank you guys so much for hanging on in there. 71 people watching on the Rokfin. That's great. Listen, guys, let's get over to 100. If you're on the YouTubes, go over to the Rokfin, Rokfin, sign up for free. There's now an Android app. People are rocking it. So let's read some super rays, which are really helping us out. No offense. No offense to you either. Wish I could give more. Love what you guys do.
Thank you, Noah. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Reeve Barker, thank you for the Super 8 contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch. Roar Media says, tell it like it is, Fee. We love you guys. They have a segment called Fee Says.
Fee Says.
Fee Says. We love our sisters and brothers over at Roar Media. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Audie MRR. Neoliberals are probably already actively scanning that athlete's past. Tweets from 10 years ago to find the most remotely homophobic or racist comment he made in jest.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they did to me. That's what they do.
Odyssey,
They do that shit.
Oh, you better believe they're going to be going through, right now, they're going to be people going through Justin Jackson's shit, his history, looking for anything to smear him, to make him look like a jerk-off. Thank you, Audie. That is so true, and that is definitely going to happen, so we have to be aware of that. 258 people watching on the YouTubes. Get over to the Rokfin. Thank you so much,
Guys, like,
fam.
share, subscribe. We're being obviously extremely suppressed, so please, please, please share.
All right, fam.
Okay.
So stuff still going on in Gaza?
Yeah. I mean, by stuff, we mean like literally bombs throughout the night. Gaza has been entirely under fire. You know, when we go to sleep, they wake up. So they woke up to, after a night of gigantic bombs and nonstop just destruction, right? It's just continuous. And I'm not going to stop talking about it until it stops, and even after that, because this has been going on forever, but I don't think it's ever been brought up to the attention of so many people like it has been now. So let's start with...
That's the first tweet.
Let's start with this tweet right here. That was last night, 18 hours ago. This is Gaza right now. Make no mistake, every single administration, from Biden to Trump to Obama to Bush to Clinton and back to 1948, is complicit in the genocide of Palestinians. And if you just take a look at those pictures, they will say everything I need to say. I mean, the picture's worth 1,000 words. You guys, really, really is. There were a couple things I wanted to point out. The electronic intifada. I put two sources here talking about this. So Israel continued to kill more children and more doctors in a nighttime massacre. Okay, they also bombed the roads to the hospitals, so people couldn't even get to the hospital, by the way. So this was in the early hours of Sunday night. Multiple generations were obliterated when Israel bombed homes in Gaza around 1 a.m. Israeli warplanes launched a savage bombing campaign lasting at least an hour, firing 50 missiles at the area surrounding Al-Wihda Street in Gaza City. Without warning, the bombs hit residential buildings, bringing them down on top of those inside. The death toll from the attack has risen to 42, including 10 children and 16 women. 50 more were wounded. 2 prominent doctors were among the dead. As of Sunday evening, rescuers were still searching for survivors under the rubble. The death toll is almost 200 people, at least 192. It's gone up since then, actually. 58 children and 34 women. More than 1,200 people have been injured.
Yeah.
And that's just mostly what I wanted to point out from there.
And it just talks about deaths. It doesn't talk about displacement. It talks about your house being blown down. Where do you go from there then? After you have nothing. You know, I saw a picture of 2 kids smiling because they were able to save their fish while their whole freaking house was been bombed down to the ground. Got no place to go.
Yeah. And it doesn't talk about, somebody losing an arm, losing an eye, losing a leg. Those are injuries. Like when people say injuries, you have to think of how vast these injuries. And, when we saw the film Gaza Fights for Freedom, you see these people, they could potentially fix their leg. But you know why they can't? Because they can't leave. Israel prevents them from leaving to even get aid. To like fix themselves. Like they can't even do that. This is why it's an open air prison. They can't go anywhere. They can't go in the sea. They can't go the other way towards West Jerusalem. They can't
2 million people jammed in.
And it's a very, very densely populated area, right? And yeah, so God, like I wanted to show this other source so people don't say, oh, we only show the, electronic Intifada because it's pro whatever. So exactly. So again, journalists are also in danger. They killed 42 civilians. It's the same thing. I mean, they're saying the same thing. This one says 197 people, so more people than 192. There's just a lot of just stories of people getting rescued. A lot of the fatalities, of course, are women and children, which shouldn't be the thing, right? That shouldn't be allowed. So I wanted to read a few tweets from this person, Omar Gharib. This person is in Palestine, and they said, horrific night. This was right out of my window and in my area. I don't know how to describe it. Some things you just can't describe. It felt like I am in a horror movie, but thank God we are still alive. So this is from someone that's over there, and they're seeing this right outside their window. This is like the terror that people are describing. And he also said, another sleepless night. The sun is slowly rising. The sky is pink. The clouds seem extra heavy. My ears are still buzzing. May today be better and less horrific than yesterday. When you talk about, people getting bombed, when people getting bombed and people getting like attacked, you don't talk about the psychological effects either. Like the psychological effects of actually going through that, what it does to an adult, and then imagine what that does to a child.
Yeah.
Right? The children that are getting like living with this. Like when you talk about early childhood development, some of the most crucial times as a child are what you are doing when you are pretty much from the ages of like 1 and 6. Like that's like very crucial moments. So think about how all these kids that are there are growing up in this.
It's definitely PTSD will be in their lives for the rest of their lives, no matter what.
Yeah.
When you're hearing that sound and what's going on, and like you said, from the ages of 1 to 6, it's going to be wired in there right now. You're not going to be able to live a peaceful life because you're going to always have those forms of anxiety and those traumas inside, and it's just downright disgusting.
So Jacob Magid said, breaking for the third time in a week, the U.S. is blocking a joint
There you
statement
go.
from the Security Council, the UN Security Council, calling for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. 2 diplomats involved told the Times of Israel. This is the Times of Israel saying this, by the way.
Yeah.
The statement was introduced by Norway, Tunisia, and China following today's emergency session on the escalation in Israel and Gaza and criticized both sides for the ongoing violence. This is a lukewarm statement. This is a lukewarm solution. They're criticizing, they're both citing the situation, but they're calling for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
The U.S. mission did not immediately respond to the request to comment on that matter. The U.S. refuses to sign on to this, as lukewarm as it is. And the U.S. said they're working tirelessly through diplomatic channels to try and bring an end to this conflict, meaning by talking and speaking to Netanyahu. By the way, breaking news, Joe Biden and Netanyahu are supposed to be speaking right now or have spoken just recently, like as of the last hour. So, 14 out of the 15 Security Council members sought to issue a joint statement, which requires unanimous approval after closed emergency meetings on Monday and Wednesday. But the United States, of course, refuses to fucking support this. And like I said, it requires unanimous decision. So that's all.
But they have veto power, too. So what's the fucking sense of the UN and the Security Council when they have ultimate veto power to stop this shit? It's bullshit. This is bullshit.
So, I'm not a huge fan of Al Jazeera, but they're there. They got attacked. Al Jazeera it has a thread on this, so they have the latest updates till May 17th, and they talked about how more firing the second week as raids were carried out in the early hours of Monday today. Remember, they're hours ahead of us, so you can see some of these pictures. I just wanted to point that out. Like, the numbers are the same, almost between 190 to 197 Palestinians, 58 children. I mean, these aren't just numbers. These are people's lives. These are entire families being wiped out. I know it seems like numbers to us because we're here, but that's a lot of people.
Can I ask a question, Johnny? If you were watching a basketball game and the score was 202-7, would you say that's an evenly matched basketball team game and stuff? I mean, like, that's the numbers here. When people are saying, well, this is both sides. No, it's 202-7. Is that an evenly matched fucking game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to use a basketball reference, but yeah, it's not even.
I mean, I'm just trying to get across to people out there who are not involved with this stuff, who don't pay attention to stuff, who will say, well, I heard it's both sides. Doesn't Israel have a right to defend itself?
Right.
Defend itself.
This isn't defense.
I mean, this is not defense.
Yeah, this is it's, again, they can't escape. It's not war, because people are like, well, this isn't war. No, it's not even war. This is an outright genocide. They're killing people knowing that these people can't escape. So this is who posted a picture is worth 1,000 words, and there's somebody in the rubble right there alive. They're finding people still under the rubble right now. And this isn't caused by an earthquake. This isn't caused by an accident or a fire or a building randomly collapsing. This is caused intentionally by targeted strikes from the states or the occupation of Israel, right? So I have a couple things I wanted to read here from the Washington Post because I figured it was important to point out. They talk about the Israeli airstrikes killing more people, and they specifically talk about how Biden and Netanyahu were speaking, because when Biden says he's speaking to his contacts in the Middle East, he means Netanyahu, right? So I wanted to point out what to know. How do I get to that part? Okay. What to know about you can.
Here's what to know. Israeli airstrikes early Sunday targeted several houses on a main road near Shifa Hospital, leaving at least 42 dead as emergency workers sifted the rubble for bodies. 2. Hamas fired a barrage of rockets towards Tel Aviv and southern Israel throughout the night and into Sunday. 3. Palestinian death toll in Gaza climbed to 192, including 58 children, according to the local health officials. In the West Bank, at least 15 Palestinians have been killed since Friday, officials said there. A disabled Israeli man was killed Saturday in a rocket strike in a Tel Aviv suburb, raising the death toll in Israel to 10. I'm sorry, it wasn't 7, it was 10. The UN Security Council met in open session Sunday after the 2 closed-door meetings in the last week to discuss ways to de-escalate the conflict. Jesus. Haiti Hady Amar, the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of the State for Israeli-Palestinian Affairs, met with Israeli Defense Ministry Benny Gantz on Sunday to discuss a ceasefire, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the military operation was expected to last at least several more days.
Okay, so that's just giving you an overview of what the mainstream media is even putting out, because they have to put this out. Like, when people are actually dying, you have physical proof, right, that these people are dying. They have to say that. Like, they can't just make up a number. But what they can do is twist it to say, oh, like, it's this conflict that is going on, instead of saying, oh, this is a genocide. This is apartheid, this is genocide, this is an open air prison. They're not going to say that, even though that's what's happening. But they have to account for the bodies. Now, I do want to point out that as of today, there was the director of civil defense in northern Gaza confirmed that since this morning, the occupation fired 8 internationally banned phosphorus shells into Gaza. That is, again, the phosphorus gas is an internationally banned
substance.
Weapon. They cannot use it. So they're violating international law. Israel's violating international law with impunity, right? They're getting zero punishment, zero pushback. So Israel, I guess, is accountable to nobody. They can do what they want. That is not okay. Where's the UN? Where are all these organizations that are supposed to exist in order to protect something like that happening? This is sounding a lot to me like Nazi Germany, and like everybody just standing on the sidelines and being like, oh, okay, what are we going to do? And then you vilify people like China. China is the one that's calling for a ceasefire. This is fucking ridiculous.
It seems a lot like Nazi Germany, the way the U.S. kind of supplied the Nazi regime whatnot. They're supplying Israel right now. Like, hey, test out these new weapons right here for you, because they're using all the new state-of-the-art weapons. Napalm, which is kind of a form of white phosphorus, was banned after Vietnam, and yet the fact that they're still using it, it's disgusting. And this right here, fam, this tweet you put up here is heartbreaking.
Yeah, so let's watch this, because I just want to point out, these are just kids. These are just kids that are seeing that.
I'm always sick. I'm always, I don't know. I can't do anything. See all of this. What do you expect me to do? Fix it? I'm only 10. I can't even do anything this morning. I just want to be a doctor or anything to help my people, but I can't. I'm just a kid. I don't even know what to do. I get scared, but not really that much. I do anything for my people, but I don't know what to do. I'm just 10. I'm just 10. All of this, when I see it, I literally cry every day, saying to myself, why do we deserve this? What did we do to this? My family said they just hate us. They just don't like us because we are Muslims. Why does Muslims act for you like that? We're just kids. You see all of the kids around me? They're just kids. Why wouldn't you just send a missile to them and kill them? It's not fair. It's not fair.
I mean, and that video, has been making its rounds. Shout out to whoever was able to get that, because I mean, it's fucking disgusting that the fact that kids have to live through this. Kids have to see this, and it's just if that doesn't do anything to you, I don't know what will. And it just gets worse, because she's one of many. You see, the vast majority of people getting killed are a lot of babies, a lot of children that at that young age, she shouldn't even be. I mean, she speaks like an adult. Right? You start growing up really fast. Yeah. She like, I want to be a doctor to help people. Like, forget childhood, right?
Yeah.
Like, forget playing. Like, no, this is like, now I have to help people because they're all dead. Like, that's not the way to do things. And so this next one right here also had this little girl who was a survivor of the Israeli attack in 2002. In Jenin refugee camp. She stayed, that's where she was, in the West Bank. And this is from the documentary Jenin. And somebody put this on TikTok, which this is where TikTok can come in and educate some people on this issue.
من ناس زيهم هذول الجبنة ما خافش منهم زي الفيران يعني معاهم سلاح ومعاهم دبابات يبكوا يتزروكوا بين الدبابات خايفين منا إحنا يعني مدنيين بس هم إرادتهم ضعيفة خوفهم لدرجة الجنون يعني مش طبيعي عندهم الخوف. احنا ما بنخاف منهم، شو ما عملوا فينا ما بنخاف منهم. أسلحتهم نزلت علينا زي المي، لأنها نزلت من إيدين فاشلة، نزلت من إيدين خايفة، من إيدين مرخية، من ناس زيهم.
You grew up fast, huh? Faye?
Yeah, you can tell, right? They're just like
Grow up fast.
they seem like the way they're talking, like it's like, what else are you gonna do? You have to fight back, right? So to tell people that are in an open air prison that they should just not, they should condemn the violence, and they always, you know, overarch broadly Hamas this, Hamas that.
Yeah.
Like that they should condemn the violence. What? How could you? How could you not fight back? What do you expect them to do? Like, what do you want them to do?
Yeah. And Israel supported Hamas in the beginning. They wanted a countermeasure to the PLO, which was a secular socialist movement that involved Christians and Muslims, whatnot, Yasser Arafat. They didn't want that. So Israel backdoor funded Hamas against it. So now you want to cry Hamas? Shut the hell up.
And so much has changed since then, too.
This is disgusting.
And here's another picture, a photo that speaks louder than words. Just a kid,
look at
a
him.
Little boy. Look at how
Look
look
at
at what is around his face. Look where he's at. They're just hiding. They're scared. At any moment, there could be a bomb, and they will all be completely gone. This is like.
Can you zoom into his face, Johnny?
This is why I'm not gonna stop talking about this, right, guys? Like,
I mean, look at that.
Like, a little kid should not. And imagine the outrage if Americans got attacked the way these Palestinians. Imagine the world. Oh my God. Like, we have had one attack. Of course, we can talk about 9/11 a million times, right? One attack by the people we basically caused the attack. I mean, we funded these people. And we went to war. We did multiple occupations. We vilified an entire group of people, Muslims. We literally started this whole thing, and it was buildings and an attack one time. Like, look, these people get attacked all the time, and the world has remained silent for the most part until now.
I know so many people from New York too that get so aggravated when they see that and they look at what happened on 9/11 and they go, "Oh my God, can you imagine that?" Well, I'm not downplaying what happened on 9/11. It was disgusting, right? This happens every day in the Gaza Strip. This has been happening for years. Buildings coming down, missiles, the whole 9 yards. So why wouldn't we stop this? I mean, this has been a whole charade playing back and forth, you know what I'm saying? And for the military-industrial complex to make money hand over fist, they allow this shit to happen. They up these things. They put fuel on the fire so they can sell their weapons and people can die for individuals to make billions and trillions of dollars. Let's stop it already. This is crazy stuff right here too, as well, right? Mm-hmm. This is the knocking, right? Mm-hmm. This is something sick.
This is
here.
A warning. This is what the IDF calls a warning.
They call it knocking, right?
Yeah.
This is crazy. I'm glad you put this in.
This is how the Israeli military is warning Palestinians of an impending missile strike in Gaza. A small missile shell is launched on the target, supposedly to give people a chance to evacuate. And then, a minute or more later, the real missiles hit. It's called roof knocking, and it's supposed to minimize the number of civilian deaths. The first one means get out. And the second one means business. Israel has used this tactic in previous operations in the Palestinian territories. Some families also get a phone call warning them of what's to come. This is how the Israeli military is...
Look at that building right there, Johnny. Look at that. Is that a military institution there? No, that's a fucking house.
It's so... And the whole... This, remember when the fucking cops, the feds, knocked on the window?
Yeah.
And
Get
then
out.
right after,
and in 2 seconds, they broke everything.
That's that times a million. That shit. Oh, we're going to warn you. No, you're not giving... You're giving them a minute? Like, are they a marathon runner? Like, how fast do you have to get your shit out? Like, to get not even your shit because you don't have time, your family and yourself out of there. That's not a warning. A warning would be like literally saying, hey, we're gonna issue like a sound, get out, blah blah blah. And this shouldn't happen. This shouldn't be happening. These are residential areas. They are targeting civilian areas. They are targeting houses. They are targeting hospitals. They're targeting roads to hospitals. They're targeting schools. They're targeting every area where they know Palestinians are there because their desire is to exterminate Palestinians and to always blame it on Hamas, blame it on terrorists, to paint them as terrorists, just like this country did to a whole group of people years and years ago. Israel continues to do to this fucking day.
Yeah, they want a whole Jewish state. They don't want Palestinians there. The
They want
Palestinian
an
Muslims, the Palestinian Christians, they want them out.
state.
Think about that. Can you imagine if we did that? Hey, we're just a Christian state. Can you imagine if we did that?
That's what they're fucking doing.
That's what they're doing.
So Netanyahu, and this is going to make you guys want to punch a wall. Netanyahu completely rationalized the attack on the AP and the Al Jazeera buildings. He completely rationalized the attack on civilians. All of course using the fact that they're all terrorists. So let's at 36 seconds, Johnny, and then we can stop it and start it. It's going to go about 3 minutes, guys. Just notice how he answers the questions, and this is a mainstream media anchor asking him these questions because they can't hide this anymore.
How much longer are these hostilities going to continue?
Well, we hope that it doesn't continue very long, but we were attacked by Hamas on our National Day, Jerusalem Day, unprovoked attacks on Jerusalem, and then thousands of rockets and missiles on our cities. And I think any country has to defend itself. It has a natural right of self-defense. We'll do whatever it takes to restore order and quiet and the security of our people and deterrence. We're trying to degrade Hamas's terrorist abilities and to degrade their will to do this again. So it'll take some time. I hope it won't take long, but it's not immediate.
2,900 rockets fired on Hamas, according to fired from Hamas, according to one report. But there's also a report that Egypt offered a truce. Hamas said yes. You said no. Why?
Well, that's not what I know. And frankly, if Hamas thought that they could just fire on our rockets and then sit back and enjoy immunity, that's false. We are targeting a terrorist organization that is targeting our civilians and hiding behind their civilians, using them as human shields. We're doing everything we can to hit the terrorists themselves, their rockets, their rocket caches, and their arms, but we're not going to just let them get away with it. Neither would you. I mean, you just imagine what would have happened if you had 2,900 rockets fired on Washington and New York and others. I think you would understand our position. I think you do, actually.
The precision of that targeting has been up for question.
I like the way the mainstream media plants in the fact that it's 2,900 rockets were fired by you guys. Once again, we talked in the numbers there. You have 10 Israelis, people who have been killed. You have over 200 Palestinians who have been slaughtered.
Just in the last few days, the way.
Right?
Like the last week. Yeah.
And the justification that we're trying to hit terrorists, but they're hiding behind their civilians, so that makes it okay. Go in there and arrest people. Why are you firing missiles on these houses and stuff?
No, dude.
This is a lie.
No, dude. No. Like, no. Like, there are no fucking terrorists. There are no terrorists. You are occupying an entire fucking country, and you've been doing that since 1948.
Yep.
Okay? There's the terrorists are you. You are the terrorists. You are bombing civilians, and you're like fucking painting it like it's fucking them. I mean, I'm just fucking about to fucking lose it right now. This is fucking disgusting. Like, I can't. This guy is a psychopath. Yep. I can tell. The way he's talking, like he's a fucking psychopath.
Yep, and it's by militaries. It's by United States'
the United States is funding this right now.
That's what we're doing.
United States
this happens because we allow it to happen.
Is allowing this to happen.
But tell me we're mitigating damage by voting for Joe Biden. And stick it up your ass,
dude. No, like we were attacked. They sent missiles on Palestinians. They have been killing people from their homes at gunpoint, killing people, shooting kids. Do you think that these people are going to spend the next 60-something years not doing anything about it? No, like this is, anybody buying this narrative is justifying genocide because what's really happening is very obvious for everybody to see.
Yeah, it's disgusting. You continue to play it, John.
There's been a lot of focus on the bombing on Saturday in Gaza of a building that housed the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. The Committee to Protect Journalists demanded detailed and documented justification. This morning, there's a Jerusalem Post story that says the Americans were shown a smoking gun, that proof that Hamas was in that building. What is that proof? And did you show it to the Americans?
Well, we share with our American friends all that intelligence. And here's the intelligence we had. It's about Palestinian terrorist, an intelligence office for the Palestinian terrorist organization housed in that building that plots and organizes the terror attacks against Israeli civilians. So it's a perfectly legitimate target. And I can tell you that we took every precaution to make sure that there were no civilian injuries. In fact, no deaths, no injuries whatsoever. I can't say injuries. I don't know if somebody received a fragment of a stone. I don't know that. But no people were killed. Now imagine, ask yourself, how is that possible? You see these high-rise towers that are used by Hamas over and over again. They collapse and no one is killed. Why does that happen? Because we, unlike Hamas, take special precautions to tell people, leave the building, leave the premises. We make sure that everyone is gone before we bring down those terrorist facilities. And that's the difference between Israel and Hamas. They deliberately target our cities, deliberately target our civilians. They glorify the death of children and civilians and old people. They are happy with it. I think they're happy with any deaths that are caused to them. We grieve for every non-combatant loss in Gaza, and we grieve for all our civilians who die in Israel. We're not happy with it, and we try to minimize it.
We try to minimizing those 200 people, a bunch of kids. And they're listen to this bullshit they're giving you, fam.
There's a video out there of Israelis cheering for the death of these people. What do you mean you grieve? Like literally, all of the vast majority of Israel, vast majority of Israel is cheerleading this. We've seen the videos of the IDF soldiers having parties or the people watching as they shoot these people in 2014. Like this is like he's blatantly lying, and he's saying that we take precautions. What like doing the knocks on the fucking roof, and then a minute later bombing the hell out of the entire region.
They're civilian housing. They're civilians. They're not military bunkers. He's a fucking liar. Netanyahu's a piece of shit. Okay, he should be thrown out of office. I hope the government changes in Israel right now. I really do, because this guy, and I don't know if anything's going to change, because it doesn't make a difference who's in power, whether it be, Rabin or Perez. The imperialist colonial mindset still keeps going.
And you saw how he justified, too. He justified the bombing of the AP and the Al Jazeera building, saying that Hamas intelligence is in there plotting against them. And when he asked them again for the evidence, he said, "Oh, well, we speak to intelligence and blah blah blah." But he won't. They still, to this point, have yet to prove any evidence that there was anything going on in there for them to have bombed that building. Zero evidence. They haven't said what it is. They just say that there is. That's it.
You want to play any more of this video? Or you want to get to the next part?
Well, we can just get to the next part. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So you got some tweets. You said, tweeting is their jobs. Glad to know. I thought it was making legislation change things and actually take action to oppose the empire destroying lives globally. Something they campaign. Something they campaigned on. My bad.
Okay. So
I like to talk about this too. Go ahead.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
Dude. Like, okay. So
I'm done with the virtue signaling. I'm done with the virtue signaling.
This dumbass. The squad is doing its job. Our job is to make the squad at least 10 times bigger. Yeah, I want 10 times the size of the squad tweeting, because that's their job. That's their job, is to tweet. Gee, oh my God, I should be getting paid then, because if their job is to tweet, like, I can tweet better than them. I can actually say shit that's actually more substantial, because right now they're just sitting idly by and saying apartheid states aren't democracies. Apartheid states aren't democracies. Let's just start a tweet storm.
Yeah.
Like, let's not push any legislation. We have power as Congress people, right? They have power. Like, why don't you fucking do something about it?
Yeah.
Why don't you push legislation? They were able to, within fucking days, push legislation for impeaching Donald Trump. But what the hell are they doing? They're not pushing legislation for this. Where's the, like, how could they do it to get rid of Orange Men Bad?
Who was already out of office.
Right. For a symbolic, like, bullshit. But they can't bring themselves to bring any legislation at all. And even Rashida Tlaib, she's Palestinian. Where the hell? Like, are you also, like, owned by AIPAC?
And
that
enough
you
of the
can't say
resolutions,
anything?
too. Enough of the
No,
resolutions.
fuck the resolution.
Fuck the resolutions. Enough is enough. Make a bill that says that we're going to defund Israel. We're not going to give them any funding unless they abide by the UN Security Council's ceasefires, and then stop blockading the ceasefires. We're on the side of Israel. We're tiptoeing around it. And why don't the squad, for one, do something? Hold your own party accountable, people in your own party accountable, and then make legislations and laws to stop this shit. Instead, they just put the virtue signaling out there.
That's all they're doing.
This is wrong. This is wrong. Well, then do something about it. Hold your own goddamn party accountable.
We
Nancy
put you
Pelosi.
in there, dude. We put you in there to fight the establishment, not to fucking placate and run narratives for them and do PR stunts for them and tweet. We didn't put you in there to tweet. You have millions of followers together. Start more protests and demand Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden defund Israel. That's what we need to do.
That's what
There's
you
no,
should do.
that's it. We need to stop any aid to Israel. We need to sanction and boycott Israel because every single country that we've sanctioned didn't deserve it. This country actually does. Otherwise, you are complicit in the killing and murder of these women, children, and innocent civilians. That's what needs to happen. That's it. Like, there's no two sides about it. There's defund fucking Israel, and do not stop until you do. Because guess what? If people are out by the thousands now protesting for this is your moment to do something. It's not your moment to sit there and tweet. Because if tweeting is all that's required from government officials, we can all do a better job than you can. And it's that fucking simple, dude.
Johnny, did you get something you want to show us? Okay. So, for Garenchi?
This other guy, because this was the section on politicians, right? Notice instead of saying the right thing and saying, you know what, I was wrong to say this, he doubles down. Andrew Yang, in response to a comment regarding what he said about Israel-Palestine, he said, "Thanks, Eric. It was answered by a staffer who I think misunderstood the question. I believe that Palestinians should have a say in their future, but I do not believe that all refugees and descendants have the right to return to Israel. Appreciate you calling it right." So what happened was he had said something different before, and people called him out on it. This was it right here. And this was I think she put the full exchange here. Why is this happening? Okay, here we go. Should all Palestinian refugees and their descendants have the right to return to Israel? New York Times asked. And Andrew Yang said yes at that point. Now he's clarifying that that's not what he meant.
Yeah.
So,
saying that not everybody has the right to go. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Right. And so he's doubling down, right? He's doubling down instead of actually saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I was wrong." No, he's doubling down. He's trash. I mean, like, anybody's trying to push Andrew Yang right now, come on, guys. What the hell are you doing? Elizabeth Warren, of course, right? Elizabeth Greenbombs Warren is saying Israeli airstrikes that destroyed international media outlets and killed innocent Gaza civilians tell us what we already know. Israel and Hamas must work with negotiators and reach a ceasefire immediately, and the U.S. must actively support this effort. Again, she can't say the word Palestinian, right? Notice she doesn't say the word Palestinian. She's both citing the issue. We have zero friends in D.C.
Zero.
Really, zero. In regard to this issue, they're all trying to whitewash it, pretend it's nothing, and we can't allow that narrative to continue because for too long they've gotten away with it. And anybody that's in any way pro-Palestinian is maligned, and then they eventually just give in to AIPAC and the influence of Israel in our government. And it's not anti-Semitic to say that. It's not anti-Semitic to say that it's a fascist regime, that Israel is an occupation, that Israel is our colonizers, that they're exterminating Palestinians in a genocide. And that has to be the narrative, because that's the truth. If that wasn't the truth, I wouldn't be saying it. We wouldn't be sitting here and saying it if it wasn't the truth. There is nothing to be gained from being from telling the truth.
And I think that a lot of people are waking up to that notion, fam. They are listening to those words you just said right there. More people are showing up for these protests than ever before.
Yep.
So there is some signs of encouragement. Here's Fiorella's tweet from what we witnessed the other day when we were on the ground.
The Israeli government is funded, supported, and defended by the U.S. government is horrifying in its inhumanity. Backed by billions of dollars in annual military funding from the U.S., the Israeli government controls, dominates, and dispossesses the lives and lands of Palestinian human beings that Israel targets. From Tikva to Lid to Gaza City and beyond. In response, Palestinians across historic Palestine are rising up.
Thousands and thousands of people this weekend.
Grief and rage build with every new atrocity.
They tried to block roads. They closed down
25,000
parking
people.
lots.
Yep.
They did whatever they
everything.
could. And fam, they were armed. They were ready to party. There's your yellow slinky. I don't know what you call that thing, but
Yeah, just worth noting, like, you know, the IDF manual was used to train the police, the sheriff and the LAPD. I mean, that's not a lie. When I say like our foreign policy is our domestic policy, that is what I mean. It's the same death cult violent mentality. This is Chicago. Or sorry, this is LA still. Johnny footage. right over
Johnny
here. Yeah, so I mean, this was one of the best places, the best protests I've been to, I think, for me, because as you saw in the last video, they were educating people on what was going on, that the U.S. is funding this. Then they went on to talk about other imperialist regimes that we have funded and other, coups we have done all over the global south. They had different speakers talk about that. I think that's important because a lot of the people, it might be the first time they're protesting. They might have just come because a lot of people came because of the videos that they saw. They felt compelled to just go. They don't necessarily know what's going on. So this is a prime time to educate people on why, the context of why this is happening.
I think the big thing is that once we do, if we muster up enough strength to really stop the bombing and stop the genocide, what do we do moving forward? What's the next move? You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of us would like to say, okay, well, we have to recognize it's an apartheid state. You have to get the hell out of there, but we know that's not going to happen. So what will be the compromisation? A lot of Palestinians will say, go back to the late 1960s, that what was agreed upon when we showed that graph. And that's still, I mean, the Palestinians still had a lot of land there and whatnot. Now it's just, when you look at the map, Israel's going into settlement after settlement, pushing out Palestinians. So I really think that's the discussion of moving forward. Where do we go from here will be the question. You know what I'm saying? And what will be the solution? And how do we obtain that solution? I really wish we had real leadership. I really wish we had grassroots people. I really wish that our elections were okay, because we can really see a change fundamentally foreign policy-wise across the globe, because it is disgusting what the United States does and what allows it to happen. Look what we got over there. Look at the sheriffs in there. Armed to the T, right? They
look like the military.
They look like the military is right. And
what was
wow.
What was the need for that slinky? What like families, babies, kids, older people. That's who was at the protest.
Yeah.
All kinds of people from every age.
Yeah. You can see there's nobody there militant there at all.
Nobody's there. Nobody. Antifa isn't there. All this bullshit. None of that is. That's not what that was about. It was literally all kept extremely peaceful. And if you touched, by the way, the what was it, the royal slinky, the heavenly slinky, they would they started telling people don't touch it or we'll come after you. Like this is fucking like why are they here armed like that? Like what is the necessity of doing that? It's just you make people feel a certain way. That's after, of course, of closing the roads, of
closing the
sidewalks, the parking lot. And
they wouldn't let people walk down sidewalks. Certain parts, like you got to go around. They did everything in their power to try to minimize this protest, but people weren't happening, and they showed up in the thousands. I'm very proud of them. I love it, and take note, ladies and gentlemen, you live in a police state. If they're armed like that at peaceful protest in the United States, forget about it. Johnny, you want to go to Chicago? By the way, this is up. This is up on our YouTube?
Yep.
No? Oh, this is exclusive footage Johnny's showing. I'm sorry.
Was this with the camera? Yeah, in the beginning, we had internet issues. I think they were screwing with the internet, too. Because, like, I had 5G, and I was trying to send tweets, and they wouldn't
They wouldn't let me send tweets and shit. But that's when it opened up a little bit, right?
Yeah, so this was in front of the federal building, and they were jamming the signals and had set up a perimeter around the federal building here in Los Angeles. This is what area is Westwood? Or
yes, Westwood.
Westwood. And that's the 405 highway. They blocked off all entries into the highway. You'll see over here.
Which makes that part makes sense, I guess, if you're having a protest. And I know that the protesters reportedly got permits. To do this, which is in most cases, in LA, any protest we've gone to or organized, and you don't get permits. But I think because they were dealing with the roads, they had to, because that's a road right there.
This part's really.
Yeah, this part was one of my favorite parts too. The energy. There, like I was pleasantly surprised that many people showed up, like 25,000. I mean, the media was reporting hundreds. And
you can just see that. Look at that.
You can see it's way more than hundreds.
And one of the great parts too, fam, is when there was these construction sites and some of these Palestinian supporters climbed up to the top and waved their flags. People would point up and notice it and start yelling and screaming. Yeah. They did it on the Boingo parking structure too as well. You just felt that energy. It was pretty amazing. So Chicago, right?
Chicago had 25,000 people as well that came out. And this is their second protest that was giant, because their first one was last Wednesday. Yeah. And then they had the second one. Just wanted to show a few.
It's saying it's having trouble playing this video on yours.
Oh, that's right there.
I know. It's so funny though. They're gonna be blocking some tweets.
How big it is just from this angle. Just wanted to play a little bit of that so people could see that. Giant crowd in Chicago. Shout out to all our friends in Chicago.
Yeah.
Hard Lens. Everybody that's there. Ali.
It's kind of weird the way a lot of people were saying, well, it got violent in Chicago. That's why they have so many police force here in LA. I'm like, no, it didn't. If there was like a little scrap that broke out, and that's what the news does. They intensify those moments. You know, Ford Fisher was on Jimmy Dore the other day, and he was talking about the way, and this is something, once again, that the mainstream media will do on both sides. They'll take a situation, they'll take a fight or something that happened on, and that's all they'll show of the rally. 95% of the rallies we went to are peaceful when it comes to Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Same with these Palestinian marches. They're peaceful. Nobody was looking for trouble and stuff. If there's a little scrap that breaks out, the mainstream media highlights that, and that's all they show to make you think that these protesters out there are violent, and it's just not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glory
absolutely.
Jones.
And this is still Chicago.
Wow.
And, this is us?
LA again.
Oh, wow.
Look
this
at
is
that.
Nice.
That's when we marched down towards down Wilshire towards that one spot, right? Yes, and there's the
look at that, guys. Look at all those people.
You're near the construction site. Right above you is where they went up atop and stuff. That's great. Right above Johnny, they all climbed up to the top over there. See, right where Johnny's shooting, we were over there in that green area where the truck was. That's where I took a panoramic shot and I put it on Twitter. Which was just awesome. It was behind the trees, but we were behind those trees because it was so packed. There were so many people.
Tons of people, and the quality degraded.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But there you go. There's thousands of people there. It's kind of like a shot.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And you know, California, okay. Chicago, okay. Florida, for Florida to have the people that I'm seeing here, thanks to Glory Jones, who went to Dade County, Miami. Pasta, you know, Florida is heavily Jewish. Heavily, like.
Where she's at, forget about it. That's,
This is,
South Florida's predominantly Jewish. You know what I'm saying? I went to high school in Boca Raton. Like I said, I had a lot of mentors that were Jewish, were from Israel, whatnot. So that area is just, I thought there would be so many more counter protests.
Yeah.
But
look at all those people.
It's awesome.
For Dade County. Dade County, has a lot of Cubans, has a lot of conservatives, has a lot of, like Jewish people of Jewish ancestry that are not, going to be. I am like flabbergasted that this many people showed up. I think that's pretty freaking awesome. It's a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Obviously, the younger generations are different. And that's something that we have to really put upon ourselves, is to educate the younger generations, because this is where it's at, guys. Like that's it. Like everybody else, it's like, sorry, we're there's only so much we can do now for us, but like for them and what's to happen, that's what, that's what it is. And
it isn't kosher, fam.
It's not kosher.
And here's the thing. You don't have to be Arabic. You don't have to be a Muslim.
There were
to
Christian
support
Palestinians
You don't have
there.
to be Christian to support Palestinians. You just have to be human. You just have to be human. That's it.
Yeah.
This is about being a human being. These are children that are getting slaughtered over there. And there's no excuse, no matter what Bibi comes on and says, no matter what Joe Biden says, and no matter about the lack of real support for what's going on from the squad. It doesn't make a difference. You just have to be human and call it out. Get in the streets now. Complain to people. Show people. Enough is enough.
This is Wynwood, by the way. Wynwood area.
Glory mentions the effects of the protest bill. Remember, in Florida, they passed that protest
bill. Yeah.
So people were trying to stay on the sidewalk, but there's so many people that
Yeah, what are they going to do? Arrest all those thousands of people? Like,
it's so funny because DeSantis passed this whole social media bill. He's going to sack social media for censoring people, whatnot. And he passes a bill that's against censorship, and then he passes the most censorship right to protest bill
on the ground. Yeah,
it's like, Jesus Christ, 1 foot forward, 2 steps back. You know what I'm saying?
It's because it's the same thing. It's like, I only support my ideology, and
exactly.
That's that. No, well, you have to be fucking consistent. You have to be consistent, whether you support them or not.
Yeah,
it's their fucking right to protest.
Exactly.
It's their constitutional right.
And if you have laws that say if they break the law, you can charge them. You don't double the charges and stuff when it's not your ideology. That's just bullshit right there. That's, once again, libertarians should be outraged by DeSantis's bill.
100%. I'm just happy that I'm seeing more people pay attention.
Comrade Cat.
And this is
look at that above
the next
bridge.
one is going to be Michigan. So that's Michigan right there.
That's so awesome.
Michigan came out, and Guys, it's pretty awesome. You know, we had to show this just so you guys can see that people are coming out. Now, I think tomorrow is like a Labor Day, International Day of Solidarity with Palestine. The labor movement is getting involved. Not unions. I just thought it's like a labor thing. I don't know if that's going to be anything. But
Conflict or massacre, fam?
Yeah, so conflict or massacre. I just wanted to show this little chart right here.
No Army, no Navy,
yeah,
no Air Force. Israel has ground forces, 513,000 personnel, several technologies developed in Israel, Merkava main battle tank, Aksarit armored personnel carrier, Iron Dome missile defense system, Trophy active protection system for vehicles, and Galil and Tavor assault rifles. Israeli Navy, 220,000 personnel, 64 battleships, 5 class missile corvettes.
Yeah, and again, like you can just see it, right? No Air Force. The Israeli has
89,000 personnel, 684 aircraft, including A-4 Skyhawks, F-4 Phantom IIs, F-15 Eagles, F-16 Fighting Falcons, and F-35 Lightning II. Notice what those are, fam? Those are American.
No military budget for Palestine. I mean,
Zero?
they get help. They get help from Syria sometimes or Iran.
Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman made.
Yep. There you go.
American. How do you like it, Joe Biden fans? You see that? That's your hands full of blood, pal. Full of blood.
So the median age of the entire Palestinian population, this is something that, you know, we've pointed out before, others have pointed out before. 43% of the population in Palestine is from the ages of 0 to 14 years old. The median age is 17.4. Just so you guys know, when you're bombing civilians in Palestine,
You're bombing children.
You're bombing kids.
Children.
You're bombing
Not
kids.
even old enough to vote. Children.
Who have become warriors because they have nothing left to, who have become doctors and medics. And, you know, Johnny, if you go to the next slide, we're not going to read it, but just so people could see, it's a breakdown of the money, of the money used to fund Israel. U.S. arms exports to Israel, and you can see the money and what that's used for.
That's only from 2012 to 2014.
Yeah, I know, right?
And that was the Great March, if you remember that happened in 2014. Well, imagine what that budget would look like now. What that looks like now.
Psychopaths.
Just so you guys can take into consideration what this has been until then, right?
Yeah.
The UN Security Council, again, a reminder of the members all called for the ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. You can see all of those who were in support.
Yep.
And you can see the one person, the one country that was, of course, in opposition to that. And that's the United States. The United
Pure
States.
veto power. They can veto it at any time, so it doesn't make a difference that 10 fucking countries say, let's stop it. If the United States says no, it's no.
Veto
but that's
it.
Biden, right?
Veto it. Okay. This is, they're aiding and abetting in genocide. And the next one I just wanted to show is the reports. And this is of a few days ago, May 13th, 2021. You can go to the website. It's kind of difficult to figure out, but you can see the blue ones are the launched at Palestine. The red are what's launched at Israel. Yeah. And you can see that. You can see it's hard to say Israel has the right to defend herself when you see the vast disparity and the inequality and what's, you know, when Bibi was talking about all this bullshit, like you can tell like he's lying. He's absolutely lying.
So that's that topic over there. Do you want to scratch this topic and do this on the next one, the next show, since we already have a pretty long show today? You guys want to go through with it?
Yeah, it's very short.
All right, let me read the super raise real quick. We have 98 people watching. We're almost close to oh, that's so awesome. And Tony Watches Closely just jumps on in. We love Tony Watches Closely. I haven't heard from you. I've seen you in a long time. Hope everything's good in Tejas. Today they are dehumanizing Palestinians and labeling them as terrorists. Tomorrow it will be those of us who speak against the narrative and refuse to submit to the Great Reset. Yeah. And it says, much love, Convo. We love you too as well. Tony Watches Closely. Hunter Carranza. We always appreciate it on the couch. Says, love you, fam. Our country is fucked. It makes my stomach turn. Look, we've cried on the show today because of what we're seeing. And I've already looked at the stuff we were going to go over today. I already watched it. It still makes me cry because it's awful. Yeah. Oh, Reeve Barker says, Damian Lillard has also posted solidarity with Palestine on IG.
Who's Damian Lillard?
Damian Lillard is a point guard, all-star point guard from Portland.
Nice.
He has a lot of followers too, but that's what we're saying. It could be a snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a snowball effect for George Floyd, maybe it could be a snowball effect for what our foreign policy is about. I think this is great. Reed Barker, thank you so much. It's always appreciated. Account. Roar Media says impeach Arhawk Biden. Is that Warhawk? I'm sorry. It says Arhawk. Impeach Warhawk Biden. Arrest the war criminal Netanyahu immediately.
Yes.
You better believe it, Oz. You better believe it,
If
Shanda.
it was Trump, the
Amber.
squad would be impeaching him right now.
David Guevara. Thank you, Suda Super Ray. It is always appreciated on the couch. I love that Damian Lillard said some stuff. Johnny, can we get it on real quick? You don't got it. Chris Foster, thank you so much for the super ratings. Always appreciated on the couch. Laura James, it's always appreciated on the couch. Eddie Villegas. It is always Villegas. It is always appreciated on the couch.
Sound like Nacho Libre.
103.
Hey.
Yes, that's fantastic, fam.
Oh.
You're the best. It was so funny. We were driving home from Phoenix the last half hour. Johnny put on Jack Black, and I was listening to it. I was laughing my ass off as we were going along. Want me to pull those up for you real quick?
Yeah, okay. So just real quick, guys, this is important.
The last subject of the day?
The DHS is now advising that we are under a higher threat of terrorism now that COVID restrictions are winding down.
Ooh.
So they put out this article on the Hill. DHS warns terrorists may attack as coronavirus restrictions ease. But I just wanted to read the first two paragraphs. They're warning that because of the coronavirus restrictions dwindling, terrorist attacks is on the rise. They issued a press release advising that the country is facing threats of domestic terrorists, individuals and groups that are influenced by foreign terrorist organizations, and this could come primarily from social media. Now, let's look at the actual statement. So there's two of them. There was the press release and then the bulletin. So I'm going to go over the press release real quick. Homeland Security, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, no relation, by the way, issued a National Terrorism Advisory System NTAS bulletin after consultation with the intelligence community and law enforcement partners. The NTAS bulletin advised that the United States is facing threats that have evolved significantly and become increasingly complex and volatile. Specifically, the bulletin details the threats posed by domestic terrorists, individuals and groups engaged in grievance-based violence, and those inspired or influenced by foreign terrorists and other malign foreign influences. Social media and online forums are increasingly exploited by these actors to influence and spread violent extremist narratives and activity. Such threats are also exacerbated by the impacts from the ongoing global pandemic. Today's bulletin builds on an earlier bulletin issued by the Department of Homeland Security in January and provides more information on the currently heightened threat environment and how Americans can seek help. And they basically said today's terrorism-related threat landscape is more complex, more dynamic, and more diversified than it was several years ago. We know that providing a timely and useful information to the public is critical as we all work together to secure the homeland. With the insurance of today's NTAS bulletin, we are advising the public be vigilant about ongoing threats to the United States, including those posed by domestic terrorism, blah, 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 blah.
Domestic terrorism.
Yeah. In this evolving environment, DHS is redoubling our efforts to detect and disrupt all forms of foreign and domestic terrorism and targeted violence while safeguarding privacy protection, civil rights, and civil
Bullshit.
liberties.
They're telling you they're going to take away your civil liberties in this whole thing. Oh, we're going to be Big Brother's watching out for you, fam. And you don't understand. It's complex. So you might not even realize that it's Rasputin. It's not Putin. It's Rasputin who's convincing you and hypnotizing you. So we're going to look out for you. We're going to go troll the internet. We're going to control little groups. Remember Michael Moore's movie? They found them. They infiltrated a group that was giving out cookies and talking about peace solutions. Really? I mean, this is what the fuck they do right now. They're going to tell you that they're going to fucking run shit right over here and they're going to take away your civil liberties.
If you go to the bulletin, Johnny, just a couple of points I want to point out in the bulletin. it's you can look at the duration, May 14th, 2021 till August 13th, 2021. And then you go to additional details. Look what it says. Violent extremists may seek to exploit the easing of COVID-19 related restrictions across the United States to conduct attacks against a broader range of targets after previous public capacity limits reduced opportunities for lethal attacks. Historically, mass casualty domestic violence extremists, DVE attacks linked to racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, RMVEs, have targeted houses of worship and crowded commercial facilities or gatherings. Okay, some of these advocate race wars via social media and online platforms, civil disorder, et cetera, and they just continue pointing this out about these extremists, encryptic messages, foreign interference, and they mention here Al Qaeda and ISIS intending to inspire U.S.-based home violent extremists.
So they're combining it with anybody who speaks out against
Russia,
the government.
Chinese, over here. I mean, this is
our government sucks.
And no, this is like a triple
sucks.
whammy, right? They're saying because we're easing COVID restrictions, now these people are going to come in, so maybe we shouldn't be easing COVID restrictions, and we need to be careful. Also, these people are terrorists, foreign entities. They're focusing. Who are they focusing on? Russia, China, Al Qaeda, ISIS. Oh wow, what's happening right now in Palestine? Oh yeah, a bunch of protests in solidarity with Palestine and against Israel. They could literally start attacking that. Do you not see this is because there's so much unrest all over the world, especially here in America, where people got shit during this whole pandemic. They're now using that to say, oh, well, these people are communicating via social media. Everything that has happened since January 6th has literally been a crackdown and a complete just disregard for our civil liberties. They're projecting and gaslighting you, telling you they're doing it to protect you when they're not. They're doing the opposite. They're going to start taking away your freedoms. They've already started censoring anything. A lot of the videos from Palestine are censored. I mean, and all of this crap. They have control of the media. And by the way, it is worth mentioning that Israel was building their cloud using Amazon and Google. You're not going to tell me that there's no connection there. This is insane to me that people aren't paying attention to this. This is what I mean. The Joe Biden administration has been so quickly fascist, right away. Look what's happened since Joe Biden took power. You didn't mitigate damage. You made it worse.
Exactly.
And I'm going to call you out for pushing Joe Biden. Every single one of you who pushed for Joe Biden, you didn't do it. You made it worse. This is absolutely horrible. Not saying that Trump would be any different, but people wouldn't be defending the narrative as much.
Exactly.
That the narrative managers are there able to make this a cryptic thing that only people like us are speaking out against, and it's much harder to fight an enemy that is cryptic than an enemy that is out there blatantly saying the things that Trump's saying. It's so scary right now. We're entering into a fascist state, and meanwhile I feel helpless that I can't help Palestinians over there because what can we do? This is just it's just so unnerving.
And Johnny, show that what you got up there. This is disgusting. What is that, Johnny?
Yeah, they posted this couple hours ago, 5 hours ago. It's just a bunch of rocket emojis. This is the official Israel account, the official blue check.
Yep.
State of Israel's official Twitter.
Yep.
Managed by Israel MFA's digital diplomacy team.
Oh, it's that's diplomacy. That's the missiles they're sending on over right now to kill Palestinian babies.
Do you see who? Oh, we mourn all the people we kill. Is this mourning to you? Does this look like they're mourning? It doesn't look like they're mourning to me. It looks like they're mocking the death of these young people, the vast majority of them children.
I think we got to end right there today. We have Chip Walter, who joined the Rokfin and said, throw a shoe at the like button. Johnny, do you have anything else you want to show before we get out of here?
Nope.
So that was a long show today, guys. Thank you for hanging in. We had 110 people at one point. We have 108 right now in the Rokfin. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. It's such a hard day, a hard topic. These things are hard to discuss, but we got to put it out there. Enough is enough. And you can see what Fam just brought up with that last bulletin, whatnot. The United States is going to continue to do what they're doing. All the governors that were using emergency powers should not be able to use it no more with their COVID bullshit. They've killed the economy. They've shut everything fucking down. Go the fuck away. Andrew Capo Cuomo should not be in office anymore for what he fucking did, and yet that guy is still calling shots. Gavin Newsom needs to get his fucking ass out of there, and people like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, who've not only just glorified Israel's behavior, they should be thrown out of office fucking too. It is disgusting.
Get ready for more fascism. This is what I'm saying. We don't have time. We don't have time for people to be defending Biden or defending the squad
Enough is
who
enough.
isn't doing anything. This is happening right now, real time. They are going to stop you from speaking out against the empire.
Yeah.
Israel is part of the empire. The United States is funding Israel. It's going to be very, very quick when you're going to start seeing people start censoring your tweets against Israel. That is happening right now. This is all connected. When people want to like divide and say this is my issue, this is your issue. This is why Julian Assange is in jail, because guess what? He wouldn't be both siding this issue. He would be telling the truth. He would be telling the truth.
Yeah.
And Julian Assange, I forgot to put in there, Stella Morris, his partner, she told him about what was happening in Israel, Palestine, and he said there's likely going to be a ground invasion because that means that they're prepping for that. So get ready for what's happening, guys, and continue speaking out no matter what, no matter how hard they try to silence you, because we can't stop talking about this. You know, Palestinians, you see them, in spite of everything, they're resisting, they're fighting back. Well, that's what we have to do here as well, because if we don't promote Palestinian voices, if we don't talk about what's going on, and we don't talk about U.S. imperialism, we're gonna be squashed just as bad. Believe me, the war at home is the war over there is coming home, and we've seen it in the last year and a half and how that's manifested. So get ready for that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We had 110 people watching, 106 now, 330 on YouTube. That's a great crowd. A lot of fun Super Rays. Sandy Curtis just threw a Super Ray in there.
Thank you.
If they don't say anything, I got to say that always appreciate it on the couch. So no, if you don't put any words inside your Super Rays,
put words
that's
in your
what you get.
Super Rays, please.
Or just say it's always appreciated on the couch, and a little cherry on top from our good friend A-Rem. Gotta be good to be great. Convo Couch rocks. Stay strong. Stay great. You people out there, we love you. Stay strong. Stay great. Don't ever let your voice be silent. Speak up. Yell it out from the rooftops. If you got to talk out about what's going on, let's free Palestine. Let's stop the bombing. For Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella,
Johnny Sue on those 1s and 2s.
Combo out. #free Palestine.
We love you guys.